All right, protein after 35, what you're missing and why it's costing you. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joshua Haag, and we are diving deep into protein. And if you've heard it once, you've heard it a bajillion times, why it's so important for you. And I wanted to kind of give you a little bit more of a tactical approach on how to implement some good choices each and every day into your life from the time this video is over. So without further ado, we're on to sharing my screen and let's rock and roll. So, we've all heard protein is massively important, right? It's science backed, it's this and that, it's good for all sorts of things. But why in the world aren't we adapting a more protein heavy approach? I sit with clients day in and day out who are lost when it comes to making good choices. I had someone hold up this bean thing, this bean soup thing. I was like, this is a good choice, right? It was all beans, it was just carbohydrates with like 2 grams of protein. There's just this misconception when it comes to what a good choice of protein is and how to start to flip the script when it comes to balancing your nutrition. And truthfully, hate me for it, I think we've been taught wrong. I think the food pyramid is completely up all over the place. And my job here is to start to teach you how to readily unlock your protein superpower. So, with that being said, your body at the end of the day is eating itself. You don't even know it. This is an everyday kind of thing, and it gets worse as we get up in age. 46% of adults over 51 don't meet daily protein needs. 3 to 8% of muscle mass is lost per decade after 30% if proper protein and training is not prioritized. And at the end of the day, we used to be taught 54 grams of protein. I laugh because it's like a chicken breast and a half. 54 grams of protein was the old daily protein recommendation. That's for a 150-pound male. 150-pound male. And we're going to go into some of the science of what it should look like, and you'll see how drastic things are differently as science has come about. And so if we understand this, kind of zooming back, most people in their older age, past 35, you're not eating enough protein. If we assume then by decade, 3 to 8%, you're losing muscle mass. You're literally deflating. And realistically, the only way to start to understand how to bolster that, because the more muscle you have, the later into life, the healthier you're going to be. Okay. The only way to bolster that is good training, which we go through in other videos, and good protein. Right. And there's like a domino effect, right? If I'm not getting enough protein, my muscles break down. And if my muscles break down, I have less or a slower metabolism, right? Because the more muscle you have, the more the furnace has to burn to keep the muscle around and functioning, right? That's why a big dude like me, I'm 6'6", 250, I can burn substantially more calories walking than my 4'11", 100-pound soaking wet young lady. Now, male to female makes a difference as well, but more muscle you have, the hotter the furnace has to work, right? Now, if I have a slow metabolism, fat gain goes up, recovery starts to go down. And at the end of the day, we talk in all the different sleep videos. If our recovery is poo-poo, we're going to accelerate our aging. So we can kind of back build this to say, listen, if I lock in my protein, I am going to exponentially increase my chances for having a healthy and long life, and hopefully one that when I'm 70 and 80, I'm happy about, and I can move well and I feel good. It's not in pain, in a chair you can't move, with a walker, you know, you're not able to get out of a seat, things like that. And that's what I'm facing when I train older clients. That's what I'm seeing. And the problem is we, in this day and age, don't understand that the decisions we're making at 30, 40, and 50 impact 60, 70, and 80, right? So I'm here to fix that with you. There is a growing body of evidence that shows health benefits of consuming higher amounts of protein as we age, including slowing age-related loss of muscle mass. There's a difference between just surviving and thriving, right? And that comes from Stanford Lifestyle Medicine. And I think it's important to understand that you can only say the things so many times of like, you need more protein before people start to go, okay, well, what does that mean? And here we go. We used to say 54 grams a day was the rule for 150-pound, and we are talking active adult. It did not specify between male and female. We'll get into that in a second. The new guidelines, 2026, they say 1.2 to 1.6 gram per kilo, which I think is under, I like to equate to body weight. So assume the kilo, just divide by 2 for the sake of math. That's actually a little bit under from my eyes. But according to the 2026 research, it's 1.2 to 1.6 gram per kilo of body weight, with performance being 1.6 to 2.2. That's equating to like 0.8 to 1 per pound of body weight, right? And while that's good, it's better. I still don't agree with that's enough. And what does it mean when we see these differences in protein grammage, right? We already talked about your body becomes less effective in terms of metabolism, recovery, and all that sort of stuff. But it also, realistically, the concept of muscle repair and continuously rebuilding for the next day, especially as we beat it up, we work out hard, we do all these things, it becomes much harder. And that's where we start to see what's called anabolic resistance, right? And it means you need more protein per meal than a 25-year-old eating the same thing. So as we age, we're not eating as much, things like that. We start to see some resistance build up. We need to keep upticking how much we're getting and keep that level nice and high. For 70 years, the recommendation sat at 0.8 per kilo of body weight, and this is designed to prevent deficiencies. But we realized that was wrong, right? And they finally raised their bar, and the dietary guidelines now recommend, as we talked about, this doubling the standard. I'm going to recommend triple, and you'll see why. Research shows older adults need 30 to 35 grams of protein per meal to trigger muscle protein synthesis. Now, I do believe it's a little bit based off of body weight. A 100-pound woman versus a 250-pound male, there is a relationship there of how much you should be eating. But this is a great kind of boilerplate based off the research to get you to kind of jump off. So, are you actually getting enough protein? And the number of new sessions that I sit on with people, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a chef, I'm a coach, and I'm like, how's your nutrition? And they go, my nutrition's great. I eat healthy. Well, what does healthy mean? What does healthy mean? Do you know what your protein number is? Do you have protein at every meal? Are you eating within 2 hours post workout? And do you feel satisfied after meals? These are huge questions that you really need to start to dive into personally. And most people can answer 1, 2, and 4 pretty easily. But number 3, are you eating within 2 hours post workout? That's a curious one that people have adverse effects, like workout might make them not hungry. It kind of subdues your ghrelin, right? Hunger hormones. Other people might get super hungry, like myself. I'm ready to gnaw something down. There's contradictory evidence with eating right after your workout, which is up for you, doing what's best. Some people say you can eat, as long as you're getting your grammage of protein in the day, it can be one meal the whole day, or you can eat 5 times a day. That's personal preference. There's contradictory evidence there. But I can tell you, did you eat enough protein? Are you fed? Are you satiated? And are you having protein at every meal? Pretty much straightforward and simple. Okay? Now, what the 2026 science is telling us about protein. Let's update this. RDA just got a major upgrade. So, according to the dietary guidelines, we just said it, we're upticking your regulated dietary allowance, right? Sarcopenia is becoming a real threat. Fun word for those over 50, 55, 60, right? And without adequate protein and resistance training, adults lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade. And I can tell you, you are going to find me at 60 and 65 going, the doctor just diagnosed me with some form of osteo and sarcopenia, and it's because you did not get enough protein in and you are not training heavy enough, long enough, meaning lifting heavy shit and eating good protein. And that's going to keep that at bay. So we have control over what some of this stuff does. Now, obviously, not everybody is the same, and some people have hereditary things, and everybody's body processes things differently. Making a blanket statement: most people have control over things like sarcopenia and osteoporosis. Now, timing is not a myth. The I don't know what the pro-age study is, but this study confirmed a 25 to 35 gram per meal anabolic threshold for adults. Now, what that means is the body has a theoretical optimum absorption rate when it comes to protein at one sitting. The bigger you are, your organs are a little bit bigger. There might be a different functionality, like 250-pound guy versus the 100-pound guy. But what they said, blanket statement, is about 25 to 35 grams per meal. And you should eat that 3 to 4 meals a day. Now, The counter science to that says one big meal eating all 150 grams in one shot, but there's a optimum absorption level when it comes to protein. And this is 25 to 35 grams. What that means is your body at some point has a degradation scale of how much it can absorb and readily use before you start to pee it out. So if I rip 3 protein shakes, yes, you are checking the box, but it is more effective to eat it 1, 2, 3 versus all 3 in a row. But at the end of the day, most of you are just not getting enough protein. And I just want to see you lock down the number before you worry about all the timing and stuff. But this is a great kind of thing to think about, is that 25 to 35 gram threshold. And lastly, protein protects during fat loss. And when you're trying to lose weight and cut, I cannot stress this enough, your body is looking for energy sources and looking to shed things. And we want to make sure your muscle mass is not one of the things that it's cutting out. Your body will also, if you're undernourished and working out really hard, your body will readily convert protein to muscle before it will readily convert fat. So if we can keep our protein nice and high, we will naturally see fat fall off much quicker. And this is a really cool thing that happens at different metabolic functions. But for now, just understand that if I'm malnourished, my body is naturally going to eat muscle first because it's faster to dissolve than fat. And the time differences are drastic. So I get into arguments all the time. My vegans, vegetarians out there, buckle up. This is coming for you. Best sources of protein. And obviously, everyone's got their own theory. I did it based off of ounceage, right? So I wanted to create an even Steven kind of scale. How much in terms of grams of protein per ounce? And what is your output? And the hard part is some things have other health benefits or have other negatives, something like a pork tenderloin. Some people will say is a very dirty meat. It's not healthy. It's not as clean as a chicken breast. We can argue this all day. But this is a way for you to quick glimpse and say, am I getting optimum protein and what are my best sources each and every day? So here you go. We've got chicken breast at the top and sirloin steak. And as we go down, we then get to some of the dairies where we start to uptick fat as well. So be careful with your dairies. And then lastly, I put pork tenderloin at the bottom just because while it is lean, while it is good, pork sometimes is dirty. People with religious beliefs, I want to put it up there, but I don't think it should be at the top. Now, how to actually hit your protein number every day. And this is mind blowing. Buckle up. This is it. This is the coaching. This is the new stuff. This is going to unlock everything for you. Buckle up. You set your number first. And this is what I do with every single nutrition client. I learn kind of their eating habits, and based off of your body weight, you dial it in. Now, my coaching, pay attention. My coaching. I coach women is 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Men is 1 to 1.25 grams per pound of body weight. So a 100-pound man should eat 100 grams of protein. Okay? You want to be on the upper end of that if you're trying to build muscle. I recommend everyone is on the upper end of those ranges, but I know some people, oh, I don't like chicken. Oh, it's too much meat. Oh, great, whatever, be on the low end. But it's like a bar. It's a pass or fail. Did you pass? No, then we've got to figure out how to pass. I don't coach anybody into deeper nutrition, no supplementation, no carbohydrate or fat coaching, no, oh my God, I just had a word for it and I forgot. But none of that without locking down your protein first. If you cannot show me good sources of protein and consistency in terms of your number, you don't get any other nutrition coaching because it's the most important thing. It's the most important thing. Now, after we set our number, we need to build every meal around a protein anchor. Now, we said 25 to 35 grams. I put 30 to 35 here to keep you a little bit higher. But we want to see you be consistently absorbing that protein. That means breakfast too. All my people, oh, I don't eat breakfast. Well, you're cutting out one of the biggest meals of the day to get in adequate protein. And then you're going to say, I don't want to eat 3 meals in the afternoon. I'm only going to stop eating at 7. Well, now I've got lunch, a snack, and dinner. You're going to take in 120 grams of protein? No. So we have to start to understand that we need as much time in the window of protein and we need to get an adequate amount. And I don't want to hear it. Intermittent fasters, deep fasters, I've done it all. You have to still get an adequate amount of protein in. So if you're intermittent fasting and your window is 24, you're eating for 4 hours and you have 20 hours of fasting, you have 4 hours to get as much protein as you can. And the science says you can't absorb as much as you think. So now we're contradicting ourselves. right? And so you need to make a choice. What's most important? Longevity, right? So then we need to think about these numbers. If you're worried about fasting for other reasons, maybe that's more important, but understand the weight you're going to lose. You're going to lose some muscle mass, right? So after we've set our number and we've decided around building every meal around that protein, we need to meal prep our protein sources in bulk. And this is a shortcut. Cook 3 pounds of beef, right? Don't just cook one meal and it's 3 egg cups. Cook them all. Get it ready ahead of time so you don't have to think. And then lastly, another great easy one is post-workout protein within 2 hours. I said non-negotiable here because it's the easiest way for you to absorb. And for a newbie looking at this, it's just an easy way to get an extra protein shake in when your stomach is ready for it. There is science that says you don't necessarily have to do it immediately after. I still coach it. I try and get someone to eat a good snack or things after their workout. This is a personal preference. I like to say non-negotiable, but like the science is a little contradictory. Okay. Now, these are the coaching cues I like to give that actually changes people's behavior. I want you to stop counting grams of food and count grams of protein. That's it. If you're not hungry in the morning, you're under eating protein at night. And if you're starting to eat breakfast and big meals in the day, you are going to naturally eat less bullshit through the day. So protein has this profound effect on also our carbohydrate and fat levels, right? Protein makes us feel more satiated. It lights the furnace up a little bit more and will help us balance out the rest of the day. So if you're that person who's always reaching for carbohydrates, you're always reaching for pasta and things like that, uptick your protein and watch how quickly you start to reach for less because there's just less room in the tank. One shake. This is a big one. I'll ask people about their protein. They're like, I had a protein shake today. Great. What else did you do? Nothing. One protein shake does not make you a high protein eater. I love that. It does not. You need to eat your protein before your carbs at every meal. I love this. This is a great coaching point. And that means when you're looking at your plate, and I just talked to a client who was out of the steakhouse, she talked about her French fries, your cream spinach, that little bit of the corn. Steak first. After you eat your 8 ounces of steak, clean it up. Then you get to have the fun stuff. And I bet you money, most likely, you're not going to have too much of it. If you can only afford one supplement, I recommend it be a protein shake. Hands down. It is the cleanest source of a protein. While it may not be like a real source in terms of like actual animal product, technically it's derived from good sources. It's a reduction. However, that being said, if you can only afford one, get a protein shake. Just be careful of fillers. Pay attention to the back of the label. Obviously, the cleaner the protein, the more expensive they get. That being said, though, still look for a protein shake. At the end of the day, the scale lies. Protein tells the truth. This is the last one. It's kind of like a thing for you to think about, right? And weight loss without adequate protein often means muscle loss. And so if I'm like shredding pounds really quickly, but my nutrition is all over the place and you're not locking these things down, I guarantee you are losing muscle mass. And we don't want that because at the end of the day, it's just going to cause more issues when you get older. And so I wanted to give you some simple wins that add 30 to 15 grams of protein, 30 to 50 grams of protein to your day with minimal effect. Breakfast, 3 eggs and a Greek yogurt. Lunch, 5 ounces of chicken breast. That's it. Snacks, cottage cheese, and tuna, 30 grams. Protein you can prep on Sunday, some ground beef, some hard-boiled eggs, some rotisserie chicken, baked salmon. This is the shortcut, baby. This is it. If you implement some of these things each and every day, boom, right? Protein, day. Yes, here we go. Listen, I try to make this as straightforward as I can. I try and make it a little bit fun. Learning about protein is riveting, but at the end of the day, it's what you need. And I need to stress the fact of if you're not mitigating the other food, emphasizing the protein, you are going to hurt yourself long term. Because listen, we're here for longevity. We're here to lock in. And so I want you to have some resources to be able to understand protein and also start to make the decisions to really help benefit your life moving forward. So thanks for tuning in. Hope this helped. Make sure you check out our other videos. Go to our website. Check out our school, the Fountain of Youth, off of school. So it's school.com/Fountain of Youth. There's so many resources. There's free training on there. Man, I just want to see you thrive and excel. We're on our way to help 1 million people. And I'm so glad to have you along the line. We'll talk soon.